Do you believe that America is the land of opportunity?
There I was, slouched in front of the TV, probably the only sober night I had that time of the year. Which is to say, I was only partially loaded on a dangerous mixture of acid and cough syrup. The lights went down, and sweet Jesus on a pogo stick. There he was. Flickering across the screen, looking like someone had assembled a human being from spare parts found behind an Italian butcher shop. Look at that magnificent bastard, I thought, as Rocky started his first run through the market. He's the living embodiment of what happens when the American dream gets mugged in an alley and comes up swinging. By the time he started punching meat, actual dead meat for Christ's sake, I knew I was witnessing something profound. Here is a man beating the hell out of frozen cow parts at 4 a.m., and somehow it made perfect sense. The American dream isn't pretty. It's a greasy-haired slug from the gutters of Philly running up museum steps in a gray sweatsuit that looked like it had been stolen from a homeless polar bear.
Wish me luck, I'm gonna need it.
When the final fight came around, I was standing on my seat, seeing it clear as day through my chemical haze. This wasn't just a boxing movie, but a guts punch to anyone watching with a bit of heart left inside.
Nobody's ever gone the distance from Creed. And if I can go that distance.
See, Rocky never wanted to win. All he wanted was to stay standing up on his feet. And how can you stay cold to that? I stumbled out into the night afterward. The police were surprisingly understanding about me running around screaming "Adrian" at the top of my lungs, though they did insist I put my shirt back on. That's the thing about Rocky. It grabs you by the medulla oblongata and doesn't let go until you're shadowboxing in public places and eating raw eggs for breakfast. It's the kind of movie that makes you believe that maybe, just maybe, your dreams aren't just dead yet.
His name is Sylvester Stallone, but you will always remember him as Rocky.
He wants to bury you, he wants to humiliate you, he wants to prove to the whole world that it was nothing but some kind of a freak the first time out.
There I was, mainlining popcorn butter and cheap whiskey, watching this twisted circus they call Rocky II unfold before my drug-addled eyes. Sweet Jesus. Stallone's again, looking like a pit bull crossed with a fire hydrant, mumbling his way through Philadelphia's mean streets with all the grace of a wounded water buffalo.
Rocky II, the story continues.
You want to know about the plot? By God, it's as straightforward as a punch to the teeth. Our boy Rocky, that beautiful, brain-damaged bastard, can't adjust to life outside the ring. He's married to Adrian,
The love continues.
who spends half the movie in a coma, which, if you ask me, is a clever metaphor for the American dream.
I want the whole world to see me destroy this man.
Why don't you stand up and fight this guy hard like you done before? That was beautiful.
The whole damn thing builds up to another fight, because in Philadelphia, apparently, that's the only way to resolve anything.
15 rounds for the heavyweight championship of the world.
It's like watching two mastodons duke it out in a tar pit. Prehistoric, brutal, and somehow deeply American.
That's what this fight is going to be. It's going to be a war.
The training sequences are pure madness. Stallone running through the city like a rabid mountain goat, pursued by what appears to be every child in Pennsylvania. But hot damn if it doesn't work.
You're going down, man. You're going down.
By the end, when these two sweaty gladiators are beating each other senseless for our entertainment, I found myself howling at the screen like a patriot on peyote. It's the American dream on steroids, literally and figuratively. Is it a great movie? Hell, that's like asking if bourbon is a great breakfast drink. It doesn't matter. It's a torpedo of raw emotion, straight to the nervous system, a savage journey into the heart of the American sports dream. And sometimes, when the drugs wear off and the sun comes up, that's exactly what you need.
The doctor said you shouldn't fight anymore.
You recommended I don't fight, and I recommend.
Bust you out.
Go for it.
Let me tell you about Rocky III.
I'm gonna torture him. I'm gonna crucify him real bad. For the first time in my life, I'm afraid.
A film so drenched in 80s excess it makes Wall Street look like a soup kitchen.
Philadelphia salutes its favorite son, Rocky Balboa.
Stallone, muscles glistening like he's been dipped in baby oil, prancing around like a prize peacock until Mr. T shows up looking like he raided Fort Knox and a hair salon simultaneously.
You know, you got a big mouth.
I will destroy any man who tries to take what I got.
Apollo Creed swoops in like some guardian angel in star-spangled shorts.
Now, when we fought, you had that eye of the tiger, man, the edge. And now you gotta get it back.
Teaching Rocky the ancient art of running on beaches and punching air.
You thought I was tough? This jump will kill you. You wake up after a few years thinking you're a winner, but you're not.
It's a bromance so thick you could spread it on toast.
There is no tomorrow.
The fights? More choreographed than a Broadway musical, with enough slow-mo to make you think you're having a stroke. And let's not forget Eye of the Tiger, blaring every 5 minutes like some kind of Pavlovian nightmare.
See that look in their eyes, Rock? Gotta get that look back, Rock. Eye of the Tiger, come on.
This flick is the cinematic equivalent of snorting protein powder off a gold-plated dumbbell. It's ridiculous, it's absurd, and it's more American than apple pie wrestling a bald eagle.
There is no tomorrow.
So grab your Stars and Stripes boxing shorts, leave your brain at the door, and get ready for a fever.
It's Rocky's greatest challenge to save his honor, his marriage, and his manhood against his most devastating and dangerous opponent.
Rocky III. Because sometimes you just need to watch grown men beat the ever-loving snot out of each other to feel alive.
The worst thing happened to you that could happen to any fighter. You got civilized.
Balboa was a fine champion, but his time has passed.
This guy is a wrecking machine.
I must break you.
Rocky is in serious trouble.
Rocky IV? Now that's a film that knows how to pack a punch. It's a testosterone-fueled spectacle, a cinematic embodiment of the Cold War.
Perhaps this simple defeat will be a perfect example of how pathetic your society has become.
Sylvester Stallone is back as Rocky Balboa, but this time he's facing off against a new kind of opponent.
Cannot be defeated.
Ivan Drago.
Drago. Drago.
The film is a classic underdog story.
It's suicide! You can't win!
But it's also a commentary on the Cold War, a time of fear and uncertainty. The fight scenes in Rocky IV are legendary. The climactic match between Rocky and Drago is a brutal, no-holds-barred brawl that will leave you gasping for breath.
He's not a machine! He's a man!
So, is Rocky IV a great film? It's a guilty pleasure, that's for sure. It's a cheesy, over-the-top spectacle that's guaranteed to entertain.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
But it's also a reminder of a simpler time. A time when heroes were black and white, and villains were pure evil.
You know what to do. Do it. Got to challenge that man to fight. And if he refuses, then you gotta insult him. You gotta dog him. You gotta humiliate him. You gotta do whatever you got to do to get him into that ring.
I was somewhere on the edge of a cheesesteak coma when I subjected myself to 2 hours of what can only be described as cinematic waterboarding. A film so bad it makes a street fight with Hell's Angels seem like afternoon tea with your grandmother.
This is a tremendous opportunity.
Opportunity for who? For you to make money, for him to be disabled?
Here, we have Sylvester Stallone, looking like a man who's been beaten with a bag of doorknobs, trying to convince us he's broke. Broke.
Making so much money, you can swim in it.
Some accountant apparently snorted his fortune up his nose. The whole premise is about as believable as Donald Trump winning a beauty pageant.
I'll find some place to stay.
Got room down in the basement.
What about me?
The real horror show is this Tommy Gunn character. A walking advertisement for why boxers shouldn't headbutt concrete walls for practice.
There's a way for you to get the respect you deserve, but what you got to do is challenge Balboa to fight man to man.
He's supposed to be the next great hope, but he moves with all the grace of a three-legged buffalo in heat. They found him in Oklahoma, which explains everything. No one comes out of Oklahoma without at least 3 chromosomes dedicated solely to disappointment.
They tell me you're a piece of garbage, you know that?
That's it! You told him I'd fight anywhere, anytime.
The street fight finale is like watching 2 drunk uncles slug it out at Thanksgiving dinner over the last turkey leg.
All those fighters you beat them with heart, not muscle.
I haven't seen this much wasted potential since I quit high school. And poor Adrian. They've reduced her to the human equivalent of a fortune cookie.
All those beatings you took in the ring, I took them with you.
In a just world, this film is the kind of bad that makes you question not just your taste in movies, but your entire life choices leading up to watching it.
You lied to me and you lied to Mom.
Calling this a Rocky movie might be technically fraud under international law. Buy the ticket, take the ride, they say. But this ride feels less like a boxing epic, and more like being trapped in an elevator with a sweaty Kamala Harris while she tries to explain Instagram to you. God help us all.
My ring's outside.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think I want to, like, fight. You know, nothing big, small stuff, like locally.
Don't you think you're too, old?
Sweet Jesus, they've done it again. They've dragged Rocky out of retirement like a punch-drunk circus bear, only this time he's collecting Social Security and probably needs help crossing the street.
Rocky Balboa. To beat this guy, you need speed. You don't have it.
I haven't seen something this depressing since Mark Zuckerberg tried to convince Congress he's a real human being, and yet, by God, it works. The plot? Christ, the plot is simpler than a congressional ethics manual. Our boy Rocky, now older than death itself, gets challenged by some young hotshot boxer whose name sounds like a railroad company. Mason, the line Dixon, I swear I'm not making this up, wants to fight the Italian stallion in what amounts to the world's most dangerous AARP membership drive.
Heavy-duty punches that will rattle his ancestors. Let's start building some hurting bombs.
The training montages are back, but this time they're less Eye of the Tiger and more Eye of the Cataract. It's like watching your grandfather prepare for a bar fight at the senior center.
Larry, why is this billed as an exhibition?
So they wouldn't have to call it an execution.
But here's the truly terrifying part. This movie actually grabs you by the heart. Again. It's like getting sucker punched by sentimentality while you're busy laughing at the absurdity of it all.
It takes guts climbing back in that ring knowing you're gonna take a beating.
The final fight scene plays out like a fever dream in slow motion. Here's Rocky, old enough to qualify for dinner discounts at Denny's, trading punches with a guy who wasn't even born when the first movie came out. It's beautiful in the same way a car crash is beautiful. You can't look away, even though you probably should.
It's over. Ain't nothing over till it's over.
Where's that from? The 80s?
That's probably the 70s.
Rocky Balboa is like that last shot of tequila at 2 a.m. You know you shouldn't, but damn if it doesn't feel right. Stallone has created something that's either brilliantly insane or insanely brilliant. I haven't been this confused about my emotions since that night I had spent with some circus performers and a miniature giraffe.
Rocky Balboa.
Can you do it?
Here we go again, folks. With the Italian stallion back in the ring, this time with wrinkles deeper than the Grand Canyon and fists that probably creak like a rusty swing set. The stirring montage training sequences, the inspirational speeches about never giving up, the eye of the tiger blazing in Rocky's bloodshot eyes. It's all there. The plot? Who cares? It's Rocky, for Christ's sake. This is all about heart, about the indomitable spirit of a fighter who refuses to stay down for the count, even if his body's screaming for a mercy shot. It ain't gonna win any Oscars for originality. It's a retread, a victory lap for a character who's already conquered every mountain and knocked out every chump in sight. But for those of us who grew up cheering for the underdog, who loved the raw emotion of a Rocky fight, this trailer brings back a flood of memories. Sometimes you just need a good old-fashioned Rocky movie to remind you that even when you're battered, bruised, and over the hill, there's still fight left in you. It might be the end, for real this time, but one thing's for sure, folks. Rocky Balboa ain't one to go out without a fight.